Hello! Do you have friends? Could I have one? Do you enjoy making friends? Are you a psychopath? I've never really been very good at making new friends. I mean, I've been described as an extroverted introvert before, which is just an ambivert, right? Basically, I'm terrible at starting conversations. I never have any idea what to say, and if the other person doesn't pull their weight of the conversation, it just gets really awkward. But I'm used to that now, which is probably not a good thing. But once I actually know somebody and I'm comfortable enough around them, I can just chill out and actually be a fun person to hang out with. At least I hope I'm fun to hang out with. So luckily, I've never gotten to the point where I've had to use one of the sites that we're looking at today, which are the RentaFriend websites. Oh, yeah. Every single day. I don't know why I only put it up for videos now, because I know it's not going to survive. But there's actually quite a lot of these sites. But before we get into all of that, and again, I'm sorry, I don't like doing this, but it has to be done. 92% of people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, which is kind of crazy. So if you do enjoy this video, then please like and subscribe. We're still a really small channel, and I'm really wanting to change that. I've got loads of other videos that I'm sure you'd enjoy as well. But back to renting friends, and let's start by looking at some of the activities that you can invite these friends to do with you. You can pay someone to introduce you to more people, and I don't really know if that means that all of the people that you're introduced to are also friends, as in, like, you can rent them and you have to pay to hang out with them as well. So you just end up with this big network of people that you have to pay to hang out with you until they eventually indoctrinate you into the whole pyramid scheme. Or if they're just normal people, and if you're cool enough, you could actually just get in there with this group and make real friends. You could also take your paid friend out clubbing, where they can be your wingman / wingwoman. If someone's at the point where they have to rent a friend for the evening, I really don't see how they're going to be confident enough to do a two-man pull in the club. They could also be your gym buddy or teach you manners, and I'm hoping that means just teaching like local customs rather than just actual basic manners, which are kind of the same thing actually. Well, you would consider manners is entirely down to your local customs. Well, you consider basic manners I might not consider to be basic manners. Religious? It just says religious, so I have no idea what that means. Is that like inviting someone to your bar mitzvah? A whole bar mitzvah party, and it's just you and this random 40-year-old woman that you've paid to be there. That's more sad than just being there alone. But that also ties into the next activity. Family functions. If your family is constantly bullying you for not having any friends, then surely the only way to prove them wrong is to pay for somebody to be your friend for the entire Christmas party. That'll get them to stop making fun of you. Now this next one just makes me sad and kind of uncomfortable, because you can pay someone to be your prom date. I think I'd rather just go to prom alone than with some random 60-year-old woman from Florida, Ohio. Did you guys really just run out of names for towns that you just had to start reusing them? I also saw that there's a place called Florida Town. That's worse than Brasilia. But yeah, most of the activities that these people say that they're down to do are basically just fun days out that you'll have to pay for. But how much does it cost for these services? I mean, that's the big question, right? So the biggest rent-a-friend site is called RentaFriend, and God knows how they came up with that name, but they charge $25 a month, which gives you the ability to pay more money in order to message and call these friends, which is a cost per minute on calls and per minute with text messages. And then you have to pay them to hang out and pay for everything that you do during those hangouts, so the money adds up really quickly. And I read an article talking about these sites, and they actually put in a tip that says, as an extra precaution, let others know where you're going, turn on phone location tracking, and carry pepper spray. So that's not a good sign, but there are obviously potential risks with any kind of site like this. You could go out thinking you're about to meet up with some pretty young lady, and it ends up to be fucking P. Diddy. And a lot of these sites, but especially RentaFriend, are very adamant that they're not a dating site or an escort service. But come on, that obviously doesn't mean that this kind of stuff doesn't happen. It definitely happens. According to another article that went through a bunch of different profiles, almost half of all of the men on there were saying that they would be interested in engaging with women. But if you don't want to meet up with a random stranger because the outside world is too scary, then don't worry, because there are other sites that offer virtual friends only, which is some serious Black Mirror Her type shit. But RentaCyberFriend is a bit weird because there's no memberships for this one, so that's good. But the rates are around 10 cents to $1 a minute, chatting or playing games or doing whatever it is that you want to do. But this site adds on an extra 20% fee. So if your friend was charging $1 a minute, they would actually only be earning $48 an hour as opposed to the full 60, which is still insane. How dare they take money away from these honest, hard-working people who are just playing games all day and pretending to be your friend. But just imagine how much money this site could potentially be making the creators of it. Especially since there are 16 profiles per page for 5,216 pages. So that's around 83,456 people. That's a lot of friends. So if every single one of those friends was charging $1 an hour and then worked for an hour, the creators of the site would be getting around $1,001,472. And I think they deserve it. Another similar site is called FriendPC, and this one actually allows you to book people out for multiple days or even weeks. So if you had enough money, you could just trap one of these friends on a Discord call for the rest of their life. If you were willing to pay the $5 to $50 an hour price tag, that is. FriendPC also offers another kinda depressing service. You can rent a virtual girlfriend. You can pay $20 to $100 for this woman who doesn't even show her face in her profile, has absolutely nothing in her bio. You can pay her $100 an hour to pretend to be your girlfriend online. Or Sarah's Sexy Boutique, who just gets straight to the point by saying, let's talk about sex, family, school, or life. Like Jesus, at least say hello first. And having the topic of sex in the same sentence as family and school feels very weird to me. I want to be yours as long as you'll have me. I mean, of course you do. Especially when you're charging $85 an hour. A half day of 4 hours talking to this woman will cost you $340. And of course, this all leads us to something that I'm sure we all saw coming eventually, sites like ChatRecruit, which are focused more on getting women who are more comfortable with adult conversations and online relationships. So if you're super horny for fake steamy conversations and webcam streams, or if you want to get a psychic reading, this site is for you. Well, I say that, but this site is actually purely just for recruitment, I think. To get women to join and then help them by setting them up on different websites. Or Babe Station. How did I end up on the Babe Station recruitment site? This happens every time! But this site boasts about paying their hosts over $30 million in total, with one woman saying that she's been earning $100,000 a year for 4 years. The power of horny is just too strong. I'll never understood the people who pay for this kind of stuff, and OnlyFans especially. The internet is right there. So let's move to the complete opposite end of the spectrum now. We'll go from a site that's fully focused on adult content to one that's fully focused towards kids. And I realize now that this is probably the worst order for me to be doing this in, but it is too late now, I've already segued. OutSchool is a site that's primarily for tutoring, so to help kids learn more about whatever subjects it is that they're struggling with. Great idea, just wholesome learning stuff. Nice. But you can also host purely social groups where you can talk about just whatever you want. And I really hope that these guys have proper background checks and stuff for everybody who tries to join, because otherwise, this would just become a feeding ground for some pretty messed up stuff. But apparently one woman held video game classes and reported earning up to $4,000 a month part-time. And I think this is actually terrible for children. I mean, if loneliness is such a huge problem among adults, which it is, I mean, the campaign to end loneliness found that 3.3 million people in the UK are chronically alone. And that's just in the UK. Then paying for children to have friends there to play games with, especially if those friends are adults, is only going to exacerbate things. But in saying that, I had a friend on PS3 who was just a grown-ass man. But we met in a random lobby and just kept playing together, and looking back, yeah, it was probably a bit weird. But what I'm getting at is that children especially need to be able to develop those social skills organically, or they're going to be paying for friends for the rest of their life. And I may sound like a boomer for it, but it's those goddamn phones! I also saw another woman saying that she used one of these sites and she's a cello teacher, and most of her students apparently ended up just becoming her friends because making music is so intimate that it just happens naturally. What do you mean by that? Making music with a bunch of children is so intimate. What do you mean by that? But with so many people feeling chronically lonely, can you really blame them for turning to these kinds of sites? Like, if you legitimately felt trapped and that you could not connect with anybody, I could understand why you'd turn to this sort of thing.
Whoa! Who are you? You have friends?
I do.
You do? No, you don't. You don't have friends.
Yeah, I do.
Are they good friends? How would you like 200 friends? Just like this.
And it's much more of a thing in Japan as well. I mean, Japan just have a really big problem with Hikikomori, which is a severe case of social withdrawal where people will just completely isolate themselves in their bedrooms for months or even years. And it's actually a thing for the family to hire a woman to talk to them through the door to try and convince them to just come outside.
Ayako has been a rental sister for over a decade. For the last 6 months, she's been working with a recovering Hikikomori in his late 20s called Kenta. His parents pay for Ayako to visit him every 2 weeks.
And it's just absolutely insane how that's a necessary service. But there are versions of these sites that clearly have good intentions. There's RentaLocalFriend, which is more focused on, like, if you're traveling, you can pay someone to meet you and show you around the city and what activities and cool stuff there is. Not to say that there isn't still room for a lot of weird stuff to happen, but it's better than the others. Just depends on if you think paying $10 to $40 for someone to show you around San Francisco's poop map is worth it. Then there's PapaPal, which is a company that helps old people and their families by allowing them to pay for someone to hang out with their old person. Because why would I want to waste my time hanging out with my old as granddad? I don't care about the war, old man. I've got Hawk to a crypto to rug for. And these pals help the old people with companionships, rides to places, chores, technology, and whatever other stuff. And I love that they just had to put technology on there. Like 80% of the time, all you're going to be doing is switching the TV from HDMI 1 to HDMI 2. I know old people are new to technology and everything, but it's one fucking button. It's not the International Space Station. But apparently a lot of these companies are really worried about the longevity of their services because there's just so many more people applying to earn money to be a friend than there are people going there willing to spend money to have a friend. With RentaFriend, for example, there's an estimated 250,000 monthly visitors, way too many fucking people, and most of them are there looking to just get hired. That combined with how the majority of paying customers are actually there just looking for more in real life friends means that the odds of actually earning money there are pretty low. But some people don't even care about that. In an interview with Paul, who is a friend for hire, he said, "I know it can be difficult to make friends. If someone wants me to go to the pub with them, or if they want to try out a new restaurant but don't want to do it alone, I'm more than happy to help. It's not about the money." Which is quite nice. Just pure intentions of helping people and genuinely making more friends. But for the most part, it's clearly just about money and getting a bunch of free stuff. But that's all of the renting friends sites that I checked out, and it's a really weird one. Because on one hand, it seems so sad to have to resort to renting someone to be your friend for a little bit. But like I said earlier, if you have no other option, then why wouldn't you do it? The fact that these sites even exist just proves how much of an issue loneliness actually is in our society. These sorts of sites would not exist if there wasn't a huge market of lonely people with nobody in their lives that are too anxious or scared to go out and meet new people. Which also makes it weird because should we condemn or should we celebrate these sites? They help people by providing a short-term solution to loneliness, but they're also inherently predatory and taking advantage of these people in crisis. I hate them though, because it is mostly the predatory side, and like I said, it's a short-term solution, meaning that they want these customers to keep coming back in order to feel wanted, forcing these people to stay in a state of constant misery whilst paying out ungodly amounts of money for short-term solutions rather than actually getting the help that they need to actually fix the problem. You shouldn't have to pay for someone to appreciate you and want to spend time with you. You're better than that, and you deserve better than that. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I really do appreciate it, and it really does help out the channel. And if you do subscribe, then I will give you 50% off my standing awkwardly in the corner of a party package, which comes with added non-verbal. Have a great day.